this world's flat. The world that you live in, it's flat. It's so strange. Well, maybe not strange, but look around. The ground's always beneath us, and it's always flat. There's mountains and hills. We build our houses on flat ground. It's flat. The world is flat. And this was obviously hidden from mankind by the devil. We were all under a spell. If you're still under that spell, then you probably don't consider it a spell when it's a spell. When you see it from the other side, you realize how deep and impossible that the world believed this lie in the generation that you were born in. And it doesn't seem like a world where suddenly people just say, oh, that's not the world that, you know, that world that we've lived in forever. Yeah, that's not the real world. That just doesn't seem like something that would happen during anyone's lifetime, does it? Come out from under the spell and at least entertain the simple truth. Think of things like water. If you splash some water, there will be waves in that water, like small waves or whatever you want to call them, splashes or whatever. What determines what a splash or a wave or a swell or any, you know, possibility of things that water can do? It's all doing one thing. Like if you're surfing, or if water's crashing into rocks and spraying up, and anything that water does, the only thing that makes it be water is that it's always in a rush to reach a certain type of equilibrium. Still, it wants to be still. It wants to sit still, but there's all these parts of nature that can change that. Our hands, if we splash it, then it won't be still. But what is it trying to do immediately after we splash it? It's trying to get flat again. Flat and still. So when water's not moving, the surface of it is flat, and almost all water is going to be different temperatures in different places, so it's always going to be moving. But the least amount that it can move, the flatter the surface is. A perfectly flat, straight line. Level. Horizontal. Not a curve, because I think the only reason why people think that water curves is because it looks like it curves. It looks like it curves. I go to Mille Lacs Lake sometimes, and it's to the other side. It's anywhere from, depending on where you're looking, it's anywhere from like 9 miles up to 20 miles across to the other side of the lake. And you could go on one day there is no other side. If it's windy out, there is no other side. You'll see the communication towers, and you'll see things that are tall. You will not see the trees on the shore. But I went up there one early morning, and it was kind of cool out, and it was perfectly still, and there was no wind at all. Usually there's a lot of wind, but there was no wind at all. And you can prove to yourself at a lake like that it's flat when you look for those conditions. When you look for the conditions where the water is closest to the temperature of the air that you can be. Also, if there's no wind, and you can, and I've done this, I've set my camera at the water level so it's getting wet, you know, just about getting wet, and pointed across to the other side of the lake and see the trees on the shore that are probably like 35 to 50 feet tall or whatever, and that's from like literally 1.5 or 2 inches of viewer height or whatever, from the ground up to the center of the camera. So it's definitely flat when it's still and the conditions are right. So that means all the days when you see it looking curved because there's waves 10 or 20, however far you're looking, 10 miles of waves. Okay, we're driving right now. I'm gonna mark 1 mile. Let me get my odometer on here. I'm gonna mark 1 mile, and we're gonna sit here and talk about how far a mile is, and I'm doing 80. My trans temp is 156. My odometer is 110, 681. Wow. Oh, I missed it. Sorry. I don't know how to use all these fancy things on these trucks. I guess I don't have we'll have to look at a mile marker. So we need to find a mile marker. That's our goal. I just want to show you that the Earth's flat, or make you think about it. Even if you think it's dumb or you just think that's ridiculous, you have to think about it now. Now's the time to think about it. Okay, mile marker. See that green sign right there? A mile marker? Right there. Okay. So I will tell you when the next mile marker is. And this is how far a mile is. So you got to think of the waves that we're going to be, right now we're doing 75. And if you were on a boat, you're not going to be going 75 if there's waves. Well, you maybe could, but the point is you're going to be going way slower on a boat. And if you can think about how much water we're going to be covering, I hope I didn't miss our mile marker. No, it's right up here. Right at the bridge. I think I can see it there. Think of all this water. Now go 10 times that far, or 15 times that far. There are waves out there. There's different weather conditions 15 miles away. It might be windy 15 miles. You don't ever, that's a long distance. So yeah, we just passed the mile mark when we went under that bridge. A mile's a good amount of distance. So when you're looking 15 miles, if the water is still, it is flat. If the water's moving, like if it's windy, or if there's a lot of different things that'll make the water move. But the water is always going against that movement and trying to get still with a flat surface. That's what water does. So anyway, a big part of this world is water. So the surface of a big part of this world is flat. And when we're driving, we're just driving over flat ground, down into valleys, up over hills and mountains. and, you know, back to flat again. That's the thing. It isn't just a science thing, or we proved this, we proved that. It's an observation thing. Let me show you what I mean. If you're thinking that flat Earth is, you know, wrong and stupid or whatever, you think it's just not right. Let me point out some things to you that right now I can point out that you believe that actually you never observe, and you never see, you never experience, and you actually do observe the complete opposite, and you'll still argue against it if you're believing this lie still. The Earth is stationary. There's no argument for that, or against that. The Earth is stationary. Here's how I know. Because we all observe it being stationary. You don't need an instrument to observe reality. You don't need any instrument. That's what you have that's what perception is even for. How do I know to press the brake right now? How do I know? Because of some calculations? No. Because there's a truck in front of me. If I hit him, that would be bad. So I'm pressing the brake. Science can't explain this life, this reality. It can explain a lot of it, but it can't explain how the thoughts go through your head, and how you have a conscience, and how you have so much detail, and like the most complicated, everything is so complicated, like pretty much a miracle. Eyesight. Well, in order for eyesight to even be a thing, you have to have something to see. You have to have a world or whatever to see. How God made this is, we have these physical bodies, and it's just this amazing experience that no matter who you are, you're going to take for granted that experience. That's part of the experience, which is interesting. Part of the experience is getting used to it and taking it for granted. And even as I'm saying this to you, I'm like, man, I wish I was home. I'm sick of driving. Driving should be so much fun. I'm like moving in this vehicle and I have full control of where the vehicle goes, what the vehicle does, and all my senses are the only thing I need to drive this vehicle and to shift it and whatever. The point is that everyone, yes, you, observe daily, and actually your whole life have been making an observation that the Earth is stationary. You're making it right now. Look at this road. Look at everything around us. It is completely stationary. Guess what else? So that's one of the things that the globe people, they believe the opposite of reality. They think that the Earth is not stationary. They think that we're spinning. We're rotating. Well, it's wrong. We actually observe a world that's not rotating. Because when I ask you, well, give me an observation. If you've observed the Earth rotate, then tell me how you've observed the Earth rotate. And next thing you'll hear is something about a moving train or a moving plane or whatever. They'll try to change the subject, or you will if you're believing this lie still. Because we actually do live in that time that the world changed. The world is changing. The whole world is going to realize that we all had our eyes closed. But it wasn't like we're dumb. it was closed because we didn't, because we were born in this time. This fallen generation of people that don't even know that God lives right up in the sky, right above us. And all this stuff about space, ever since Apollo 11, ever since the idea of going to space became a thing, the whole world has fallen away from God because they don't believe that God even exists. God's throne is up in the sky. His sanctuary, his temple, his tabernacle, his house, that's where he lives. And if all the things, the complexity of this world, all the things that I was talking about a little bit ago, how amazing it is, that's the one I'm talking about, the one that made all that, the one that designed it all, the one that put your body together, and he somehow makes it continue to happen. He makes it continue to happen, and air continues to be there when we breathe it. It's because he put a spirit into us. And so that would be the main point. Earth's flat. Forget about a solar system. I was just talking with a friend of mine about that tonight, because it's a clear night. The moon was going up, and it was like if you were standing on his driveway, looking straight down his driveway, the moon, when it popped up, it was directly in the center of his driveway. And when you stand at his driveway, he lives on a farm, and at the end of his driveway, you can see at well over a mile of the ground. It's just like a big field, but you can see it. It's because it's a little bit below the road. And so the moon was like right there on the horizon, and I'm like, whoa, Ron, look at the moon. So we were looking at that, and then I noticed there was Jupiter, and then there was Saturn, and then there was Venus, all right there for us to look at. And we were talking about the planets, because those are the only ones that don't do that circle around Polaris. So I was telling him, well, Enoch said that there was 7 that didn't obey God. And if we look up at the sky, they're right there. They're the planets. And even that word has that wandering star. That word is planeo. It means to seduce, to cause, to wander, to lead astray, to cause to go off course, to deceive. That's what that word planeo means, and the English term planet is derived from that word. There you go. I can't remember if it's Strong's number 4105 or something like that. Maybe 4107, maybe. I don't remember. But that word planet is, so what would that mean? Well, Enoch said that in Enoch 19, said the angels that connected themselves with women from Genesis 6, those ones, they would be, they would stand in a certain place and defile mankind and lead them astray into sacrificing to demons as gods. And you know how they would do it? By taking or assuming many different forms. Because they're angels, guys. Stars are angels. So planets, they just look that way. Nothing's going to Mars. There is no Perseverance rover on Mars, because there is no terrestrial place called Mars. And the way I understand it, It's kind of odd, it's kind of weird, but if that light that we call Mars, if that light in the sky were to be thrown to the ground, it would be terrestrial. It would be a stone. It would be something it would be like a meteor. It would be like a rock. It would be like a piece of land that a Perseverance rover could go onto. But that's not what it is. But if it comes into the Earth, it would be that. And people are like, so you're saying it is that, but it's not. Well, what I'm saying is, it will be that when it's cast down, because there's a reason why it's going to be cast down. All of those planets. How does that happen? Well, there's a dragon working on that right now. Yeah. Revelation 12, there's war in heaven. So that's what's happening. So yeah. This is like only part of my drive home from work. I'm still not home. Feels like I've been talking for quite a while too. So thanks for hanging with me. Earth's flat. Celebrate it. If you think it's goofy, that's only a matter of time till you won't. You'll understand how important it is. If you live in a world that doesn't exist, and a spinning world, you are going to have a hard time comprehending anything the right way. I'm speaking from experience, as well as many other people that call themselves flat earthers. They look at the way they saw the world 5 years ago, or whatever, however many years ago. And if they're like me, they don't understand. They don't understand how that state of being can exist. That's how powerful it is. I look back at myself, I'm 44, and I was about 37 or 38 when I started believing the truth. I think I was 37. That's a long time. Anyway. Do I see I see a deer or something. Maybe it was like a raccoon. I saw eyeballs. Anyway, I lost my train of thought from that. I already hit a deer with this truck once. I don't need to do it again. Oh yeah, I was talking about my age. And so I don't understand how my day went by before I was 37. I was basically doing carpentry, and I don't know what I did. I don't know what I would think in my mind during the day, you know? Things going through my mind during the day today, and like during these more recent years, are important things that I should have had going through my head. Someone just gave me the brights, the person behind me. I should have had thoughts going through my head when I was younger. And it isn't about age. This is about flat earth. It's not about age, it's not about anything like that. What I'm saying is these things that I've been thinking about the last 6-7 years or whatever, these things are the things that everyone should be considering and assessing and looking at, and just having being aware of these things. It might not even matter so much if you believe either one or whatever. Like, I don't know the shape of the earth. I just know that what I experience, what everyone experiences, is a flat earth that's stationary. That's what I know. And so I'm not saying that I climbed the ice wall or whatever. Who knows? Who knows how the world is shaped? You know what? Nobody knows. Who is, like, that's Enoch. Oh, I wish I had my book Enoch right now. Enoch chapter 93, starting in verse 11 to the end of the chapter. That's one to read. It says something like, who is there? Oh, you know what? That's awesome. I don't have my trailer. I left it at Ron's. Anyway, it said, who is there of the sons of men that can know the height of the heaven? And, like, I'm not trying to quote it. I'm just bringing up some of the things. Okay, so remember I said that when I was at Ron's, the moon was right, like, touching his driveway when you look down his driveway. It was really cool. So what I'm gonna do is when I get backed up here, I'm gonna demonstrate to another observation of the sky rotating, because the sky's definitely rotated since I told you about that time. So then I'll just end the video, because holy cow, 26 minutes. Okay. Oh, I gotta walk around. Hope you can see. It's blocked by the roof. We'll get over there. Okay. See how high it is in the sky? Okay, there's my house. Oh wait, is there? I can't turn the light on. The moon's up in the sky. It's like 22 degrees or 25 degrees. It was at like 0 when I left, or not left Ron's, but when I made that observation at Ron's. So there you go. The stars in the sky, they turn. And Enoch talked about that too. He said that I wish I could turn this thing around. Oh, I can just do it that way. He said that the winds, what was I going to say about what he said? I don't remember. Oh, the winds of heaven, they turn and bring the circumference of the sun and the stars to their setting. So that the winds of heaven turn. That's the sky. It turns around Polaris. That's another observation you can make. So when you see the stars moving, that means that they're moving. Very simple. Have a good one.